Well, welcome back to the next release notes. As mentioned in the previous video, that we expected 2025-01 to come out really soon, and sure enough, it did. It's packed with a bunch of changes. Again, first release of the year, we were trying to put in some m more aggressive changes. We don't want to risk anything going on during showtime, but here we got some new stuff here from Dan, especially. Remember that if you were running a 2024 version from anywhere before November or so, you will have to go to xlights.org or to the store to get your downloads. The check for updates will not work in that version. So again, for Windows, be sure to go to xlights.org and go from there. We'll start at the bottom here. I'm going to try to go through it quickly because there is so much, but there's a lot of things that are related here. Dan has done a number of changes with conversion of HSV to RGB. So it's an internal co color conversion, and he found a problem there. So take a look at that. Nothing that you can do on your end, but just be aware of any significant color changes. There shouldn't be, but that's what that's all about. Alex has put in a change for the experience controllers. So you'd have a standalone mode or you have a normal DDP mode. Apparently it wasn't supporting the standalone modes properly, so he's made a change there. Um, I made just a small change on the Lewis script just to make the command match the previous um, convention of a mixed upper and lower case. So just keep things consistent. So that's there, and the docs were updated. Internal changes were made to things so they can compile on the Linux side of things. Again, it was mentioned before that Dan gets the crash reports and he finds these little peculiarities in the code and fixes those. So he's fixed a crash on Linux, moving head panels. Again, on Linux here, a problem when host names can't resolve. Did that. Single strand effects, crash at startup, so various crash fixes. It's really nothing that you can do anything about. Hopefully, if you encountered those, you won't see that anymore. And Scott has done something similar, some more crash fixes. Batch render don't list sequences in backup directories. So if you do a tools batch render, it's not going to go and show you all of the sequences that are in your backup folders. You're not going to want to render backup folders. So if you're looking for sequences in your backup directories, get them out of there. If you really want them, they shouldn't be in the backup folder. So don't work out of your backup folder. Um, uh, this was asked about how to delete your aliases. If you've haven't been paying attention for aliases and you've been blindly creating them and you just want to start all over again, you should be able to go to Tools, Run Scripts, and you should have a delete all aliases there. If you don't, go to the download button and you should see it here, delete all aliases. That will pull it from the repository and then you can run the script here. I'm not going to run it because I don't want to delete all my aliases, but it simply goes and says, are you sure you want to do it? Are you really sure you want to do it? Hit OK and boom, it's deleting all your aliases and then you can start over if that's what you really want to do. Um, we've got add ability to reorder your aliases. So if you were in your layout and you go to a prop that's got some aliases, if not, I could just sort of create another one. No big deal. Let's go, what do I got? Um, I don't, well, let's go with this guy here. I don't know. If I go to aliases, so when you're importing a sequence and you have aliases here, so maybe I want to say add, I want this one to be a showstopper spinner. And of course, you should use names that are going to match on the sequences you purchase. And I have another one that's called, I don't know, I'm going to make this number up, but showstopper spinner, whatever showstopper happens to call theirs. You have the ability now to change the order. So if you move this up, it'll match that one first rather than this one. So maybe you have a generic one just called spinners. So if the sequence you're importing from has a prop named Showstopper Spinner, it will match it. If it doesn't, it'll try to match spinners. So you can have the priority just by adding those two arrows there. Add ability to export. Let me click OK here. Added the ability to export this as a model. And if I click on yellow and export as an xLights model, that wasn't there before. You can only export as a custom model before. But now, with export as an xLights model, you not only get the model, but you get anything that's been defined with it. That'd be including the drop downs, like the drop patterns and such. So before, if it changed it to a custom model, you lost that. It was all just a series of pixels, one to whatever. So now it's going to retain all that. Um, we found this little edge case here. If you were to go to controllers and you define something as I don't know, just pick a Falcon. A Falcon has certain properties such as group count, color order, various options like that. And if you set them over on the layout side of things, you see you get these various properties. But if you went back to the controller and said, no, I made a mistake, I don't have that particular controller, I have something else, it wouldn't clear out these invalid properties. So now it will remove the properties if they're no longer valid for the controller that you have selected. Excuse me. Add a preference to hide or size the group crosshair. So on a 3D, you don't see it, but on 2D, you have a red crosshair that shows up on a group, so everything. And if you know, if you're aware, this crosshair it dictates where the center of this group is. So if you had a spiral or a fan or something, it'll go around this crosshair. Um, we added a preference here because for some people's monitors, whatever, or they just wanted to get it out of the way, um, you could go the opposite extreme here. You have a large one. So now you have the ability to go large and different sizes. Or if you really have no need for it at all, maybe it's in the way for some purpose, you can just say none. Hopefully it works and it's gone. So now people will be able to control that a little easier. And I'm just going to put it back, otherwise I'm going to get confused. I'll put it back to small. It's fine for me. And remember that it's not there for 3D. So if you want to do center your groups, you have to just quickly flip back to 2D and set that value. Um, check sequence. There's been some work on there, and I think there's another one in the pipeline coming up. But check sequence now will generate a HTML report. So I just bring it over. Before it used to be Notepad, now it's in an HTML with a few jump things so you can jump from top to bottom and move around quicker. I think there's still another one in the pipeline that it's going to improve this a little further to help things help you um, improve your sequences and improve your layout by making the check sequence easier to follow. Okay, Keith has done some fixes here. So if you're in the controller config, and if you have two IPs that are the same, so I'm going to just going to put in 192.168.1.50. You get unmanaged and you really don't know what that means. And for us, it means you've got the two IPs the same. So he says he's multiple. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing the fix he did here, but trust me, there's something in there. Maybe it's just the fact that it says unmanaged. Maybe that's what he added in there so that you know that it's xSights can't push to it, for example, because it's got the same IP, so it doesn't know which one it's talking to. So something along there. Effects file name controls or something. Oh, now there's a little bit of a warning. So if you're in the sequencer and you say animation, whatever done, if you try to put an invalid file name, so if it's missing, it's usually red. But if you put in if you point to a file that's not valid, for instance, it may have one of these back tildes in it. I don't know if you can read that over my red screen, but a back tilde, or if you had a file name that had a comma in it, those would be valid Windows file names, but they're not valid for xLights. So it'll yell at you in yellow, and right now it says it doesn't exist because it doesn't. Um, and what would happen is You would think it's good, but when you import back in, it would yell at you and say the file doesn't exist. So now it's going to at least flag it with a yellow and a comment to let you know that there's something wrong, and you should go back and fix it. The remap dialog. So that is on. If I had some DMX stuff here, let's see if I can quickly create this DMX. So this is when you're doing and this I'm going to put it on these props, but it makes no sense to put them on these props. So I'm going to put them here anyway because it's close. If you have moving head stuff usually, and you highlight a bunch of them, you could come down here and you right click on the remap channels, bulk edit. So now you've got some new options available here. So you can um, copy it, check it, or uncheck it, the invert thing on a moving head. Inverting usually means that the moving head is mounted upside down or hanging from the ceiling. So you might want to invert it. Or if it's a pan channel, maybe it spins one way and you want it to spin the other. So I'm assuming copy means copy the existing value, and check and uncheck means what do you want to set it to. So copy would it copy from, if you're copying from channel I don't know if I can do this here. Well, if you say you're copying from channel 10, it would copy that value that was currently set on channel 10, and it's going to copy it to the channel 1 when you're done the import. So let me cancel out of this and just show you. This is the column we're talking about, this invert column. So it's how to handle that. Yes, Pixel 6 bunch of updates. So they're working on performance and sending the sequences to the ES Pixel Stick. There was some issues with it timing out, and I think they went with zip, but I could be wrong. Uh, Somehow they're going to improve the performance there. Servo effect. This was the if you were to have servo is going to do this guy here. Oops, let me try that again. Click, click. There we go. Click this over. The background effect that shows behind here was hard to see, and it was also broken. Um, I think if I just do ramp up and down, you might see what I'm talking about. There we go. So it's ramp up and down. Before it was really broken up line and it was white and you couldn't see it. So now it's a little more clear. Hopefully, it was brought up to my attention that they wanted something like that. So there you go. That was changed. On effect, show gradient in the background. Similarly for this one, I'm going to press the letter O to add a background. Obviously, we show white. If it's red, it shows red. That no big deal there. But before you, if you had a color gradient, let me do that again. You have to press the right click. Color gradient means it changes over time. So it starts off that on effect. Normally it'd be just red, but now you can have it switch from red to the orange to yellow, green, blue, etc. Now it shows that here as well, so that you have a real quick visual that this is not just a simple red on effect, it is a color gradient on effect. So it just makes it really easy to spot these things. Because sometimes you're wondering if you see just an on effect that's red and you're like, why is my whole yard changing colors? Because it should be just a red, but no, it's hiding the gradient. So now you can see that for sure. Just a simple note on the import mapping. So when you're importing a sequence, at the very bottom, it used to say something like your import took 70 seconds. Well, it didn't take 70 seconds. You stared at the screen for 65 seconds and it only took 5 seconds. So that really was a useless timer. So took out that in the status message. It served no purpose. Alex was working on a bunch of options with FPP Connect. So let's see if we got that. Tools, FPP Connect. I think he's still got some more stuff he's working on here, but let's see what we've got so far. I'm just gonna wait for that to come back. I don't have too much online, so a lot of it will take the time out. Just wait for it. These are talking about options that are at the bottom of the FPP Connect screen. There is an option that says go look again, and there's an option that says don't close it. So maybe if you want to upload sequences and right here. Let me move this up a bit. So you can rediscover. So maybe there's something that's missing and you want to rediscover it, look for it again. And it also, I thought there was, oh, there it is. Keep open. So maybe you are wanting to upload a sequence to a certain playlist. Test. You want to upload it, but then you want to stay right here and maybe upload it to another playlist, for example, or maybe you want to upload it to one controller, you want to stay here and upload it to another. So just a simple option here before you hit the upload, you can say keep open and it won't close the screen. Saves you the time of having to go back to discover it again. More select options. I think it is. Oh, it's selected based on the last batch render. So if you did a tools batch render, it'll show up here as the choices here. And I think there's some options, right click options at the top. So you can say just select uh, all of the a certain subnet. So I want only my wireless, or I only want certain for those people that have lots of FPPs. Anyway, it's a somewhat of a hidden selection option there. You can select, you can sort them by IP, um, and yeah, select all of them. So it's a hidden right click option. It's not down here, it's right on the header. Okay. And that Scott's done that. Um, so maybe the select based on last mention is probably down here. Yeah, select the ones that whatever we rendered. So the workflow might be you batch rendered a whole bunch of sequences, maybe 15 sequences, and you want to upload those 15. Now you can come into here. I would suggest you probably do clear selections, then right click and select all the ones that you just batch rendered. So there's a quick little hack there for you. Um, we have lots of these little right-click things that are just really cool features if you just think to look for them. Went through that. FPP slit IP to separate columns. So I'm thinking, yeah, we have a host name now and we have an IP address. So you have both options, and I think you can probably sort by either way. So either one of those will work. And you have a clickable link. So you can click on that one or you can click on the name. So that's cool. And Dan has this piece here that he just posted about for those Mac folks and on Linux, and that is a new compiler option that he's added, a new coding option. Probably gives you at least a 50% up from the the normal code, the normal compiled version for Mac. GPU is always going to be better, but this is for the folks that don't have that GPU or there's something wrong with the GPU. This is another way of compiling. First version of 2025, give it a shot, see how it works for you. I think we've done some basic testing on it. Seems to be working. Um, Fingers crossed, I'm going to stick it out there. Hopefully get this out on the Windows side of things. I believe it's supported. It's just a matter of tweaking it to get it working on the Windows side of things. But currently, supporting on the butterfly effect and the plasma effect and layer blending. So those three or four things that are available to you. There is a caveat though. This is for CPUs that are made in this decade, put it that way, the last 20 years. So if you've got something that's really old, you may not get this to work. But somewhere in the last 20 years, it should be supported. Anyway, there are the changes we've got so far. And we'll just keep them coming. And if you find any bug issues, let us know. And if you have any more questions, just come on over to the Zoom room. But there you go. The first version of 2025 is out. And be sure and like and subscribe, and we'll keep going for 2025. See you later.